Poor Chad. You see, Chad? That's why you don't just let anybody in your house. Hello, everyone. Terrence here with Hollywood Already Did It. If you haven't already, go ahead, like, share, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, ring that bell below. Anytime we have something, you will be among the first to know. The sixth episode of Reacher is here. It's called New York's Finest. And boy, this is this is the episode of the season. This one's a doozy. Starts off in a small little crawl, finishing up the loose ends that happened from the last episode, and then it just like doesn't let you go. We pick up with Russo finding that the house that blew up, that they sent the assassin in to collect the money from Swan, was set up with a tripwire, and it was done by somebody who was well known with explosives, knows what they're doing around explosives. So it leads back to them thinking OD is fully on board, Russo's fully on board, that Swan is behind this. You think it's a call that they have found Marlowe's car and it's been ditched, and the team goes to go investigate and check it out. When they get there, they look at the security camera to see that, hey, they may have gotten some food or something in the items where the ditch car was. Look at the security camera and see that Jane, the daughter of Marlowe, had a Nintendo Switch. And so from that, they're going to use to sort of locate and maybe use her gamer tag to kind of find out where she's at and get some information. The only scene that we see of AM in this is he's still out murdering people on a spree, but he gets sort of jammed up. Police pulls over. Well, he's pulled over. Police looks at his car and he has like a tag hanging out in the rearview mirror like piece. That's illegal where they're at. And so he thinks he's going to get off with the warning. And the police officer says as much, but the warning is still a written thing. So they still have to take the ID. And she takes the ID. As soon as she grabs the ID, I'm like, well, yeah, she's going to die. And she does. But not before at least reporting that ID and then this person. So that police comes over dispatch saying, hey, use caution. That person's a wanted suspect. The actual doctor is dead, blah, 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 blah. So he has to burn. That ID is burned. He can't use that anymore. And they're kind of aware of the general location of where AM is at. So he's off on the run again, still in the wind. Reacher and the team get back to Marlowe's house because they need to find out what Jane's gamer tag is. So Neely is doing some searching on some of the smart TVs to find out what a gamer tag actually is. While they're doing that, Reacher tries to get some shut eye. But Dixon's like, nah, you're not getting no shut eye. Give me that ass. She's like, I got a lot of pent up frustration, a lot of pent up anger. Give it to me. And Reacher's like, well, yeah, let me do that. And look, the way that she came in there looking when that her underwear and bra, I understand it, Reacher. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. But in that, it triggers a flashback of the time that the 110 basically got disbanded, got jammed up and behind some red tape, and was told to stand down from a bust that they were doing. And that was the last time that they sort of were all together as a team. It made him think of that. And Dixon was like, well, what's going on through your head? He's like, well, I don't know if it comes down to it, if I'm going to be capable of actually taking Swan out. And Dixon's like, say less. Dixon's like, I got it. I'll take care of it. She's about that. She's like, I'll take him out real quick. It's at that point that Neely comes in, sees them in their various ways of undress. It's like, you guys can't just like for one moment, like I was like 20 minutes and I'm searching the net and you guys are already at it. Which is like, I gotta hit. I know where Marlowe's at. Let's go. While they're heading to Marlowe, Russo goes to go see his boss, Marsh. And basically just comes out and says, like, yeah, I know you're the dirty one. Because there's only two people who knew that Reacher and the team were going to Boston. It's me and you. And I didn't rat, so it was you. And Marsh basically comes clean and says, yeah. They gave me a lot of money. Langston came through. I wasn't on the dirt. I wasn't on the take. I wasn't dirty. But when Reacher started popping around, Langston made a call. When he calls, he's got enough power, enough money to say, you're going to do this. And it's not so much a request or a question. It's like, it's an order and you get money with it. So I'm doing this for the betterment of us and you and your fam. And they gave me enough money to pay for you to kind of follow suit. And Russo's like, you don't know me. And if you think I'm the person who's going to take that take, you don't know me well and you don't know my father. I'm not about that. But he basically has now given the red flag to Marsh, saying, "I'm not with you, and so now you can set Langston's crew after me as well," which does a bit of foreshadowing, unfortunately, for his situation. Reacher, Neely, and Dixon question Marlowe, and Marlowe's like, "I had no idea that that address that I gave you was a setup. I didn't know. They just told Langston just told me to give you that address and kind of didn't. I don't. When Langston gives you something, you don't question it. You just do it." And she says that she gives him the update that Tony Swan is actually the good guy. He's the only person in the entire thing that actually is trying to do the correct thing, which gives Reacher a bit of like, haha, I told you, and OD is a little bit of egg on his face. Um, but Tony Swan has been trying to curb and stop whatever it is that most of the folks in New Age is doing. Basically, these chips that they're doing, they have been going out of their way to make a bunch of them say that they are effective and correct when they have actually been defective. About 650 of them, those are the ones, have been defective, but they're still been given the patent and approval to go through and get the clearance. Swan believed that Langston was dirty, but he wanted to sort of get more to the bottom of it, so he enlisted some of his 110 folks to be a part of that. Thus, that's how they wound up entwined in this and unfortunately killed. Now that they found that Marlowe isn't really up on this and as dirty as they believed, they want to use her as sort of bait. And so Reacher and them set up a plan to draw Langston out. And Marlowe gives a call and says, "Hey, I'm on the run. Reacher's team is following me. Can you come get me?" He's like, "Yeah, say less. I'll come get you." In this, Reacher plans to sort of use her as bait, put her as bait on a fish on a hook, and while they draw him out. But because Jane is also a part of this, Reacher takes Jane over to Russo and was like, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you watch her? Because it's about to get messy." And Russo's like, "I'll come in and help you with the shooters." Like, no, because they're going to have probably this. He's going to have a shooter, two people. He's going to have about four people, and it's going to be enough of us to sort of, we need to all be there. And we can't watch Jane while this is happening. So can you do so? And Russo's like, "Yeah, I can do that. But we can't keep her here. I got to be on the move because I just went to Marsh and let him know that I know he's a rat. And so now I'm going to be on the watch." And Reacher's like, "Got it. Cool. Take her wherever you need to take her to. We'll be good." So Reacher, Marlowe, and the crew, Dixon, OD, take Marlowe over to like almost like a shipping yard, if you will. It's what it sort of feels like. And sort of use her as bait. They put her in the middle, give her a phone so Reacher can hear. Um, and they have Dixon and OD sort of uh, stationed above to sort of snipe down. And Langston and about three other people, a driver and two other people, are kind of pulling in. They see Marlowe, uh, and they're just edging their way up because he's still like a little bit uncomfortable. At this point, nothing seems on the up and up. But what happens with Russo is Russo, as he's pulling away with Jane, sees that there's another car. There's a car following him. He has her get into the back seat, and then they just start opening fire on him, and he's pulling away and trying to drive away. He calls Reacher to be like, "Hey, it's set up. Somebody knows that I'm reaching with the kid. I need help." Reacher hears that, and it's almost like he has his phone and there's another phone in it because it's on speaker. Marlo hears it. She gets a little squirrely and starts like talking and getting a little bit nervous, and Langston catches on to the fact that it's a setup. So he starts just taking aim and shooting at Marlo. Reacher uh, provides cover and comes in fire, and then Langston sees that Reacher is there. Is like, "No, no, screw everything else. Go after that big mother." So what Reacher decides to do is like, "I'm going to end this here with him now." He splits up and he tells Neely and the team, "You guys go and provide help for Russo and Jane. I'll stay here because I'm gonna knock this out." So they split. uh Reacher stays and he plays some sleeper cell, some old sleeper cell, and just takes them out one by one. If anybody plays Arkham Knights or any of those Arkham games, I gotta stealthily sleep through and take people out and just break their necks, just put them to sleep or choke them out. That's what Reacher was doing. I thought three people were going to get killed on the bus. When you see it, you're like, "Well, Jesus, this bus is getting really crowded." But the third person seemed like he was smart enough to be like, "Oh, I'm not going on that bus," and then Reacher sneaks in and does some crazy stuff on him. It's pretty cool to see. but Reacher eventually takes everybody out, and it's just he and Langston left in the shipping yard. And he takes the tires out of the car that Langston could have gotten away with, and basically blocks the barricades the only way out. It's like, you're not getting out of here because the only way was between either me or the barbed wire that's surrounding this entire shipping place. And then he calls Langston's phone and be like, cool, I now see where you're at because you don't want to come out to me. I'm going to come to you. And as he's about to approach Langston, a helicopter comes, provides cover for him, and then gives him enough so he can get on the helicopter and escape. Um, and so Langston gets away and gets to live another day, while Reacher stands there looking pretty pissed. Meanwhile, Russo is kind of at his wit's end. He gets into a spot where he gets sort of barricaded in, and it's just sort of his last hope. He gets out of the car, provides some more cover, but then just realizes, like, they're not coming fast enough, and I don't know when they're going to get here. I need to get this girl to safety. So he has her get out the car, and he's like, hey, look, real quick, I need you to run as fast as you possibly can. Don't look back, just keep going. And then he has his moment in the sun where he provides cover, and he just takes them out. He takes two of the three. There's three gunmen. He takes two of them out, but not without taking some heavy gunfire. He takes about 3 shots, I believe. I know 2 for sure, but 3, I think 3 shots. And then Jane gets away. And Jane gets to a spot where it looks like all the carnage has stopped, but then she turns around and the third gunman is actually right there with a gun to her head, and then he gets hit by a truck, driven by Neely, and then they come and corral her, and she's safe. It's at that point that Neely sees that the whole thing has become sort of a bloodshed moment, and goes over to see that Russo is falling. She has OD call the police, or call the ambulance, and say, when she gets over there, Russo's first question is like, "Is the girl?" He's like, "Nope, the girl's good. We're safe there." And that's sort of his way of knowing that he's did what he was supposed to do. Now he can kind of let go. And he passes away. So we lose a pretty important character to this story in Russo. All for a trap where they were afraid that they were going to lose Russo, but they lost probably the actual only one good cop that they had on the take. And now it's going to get a little dicier for them, because there are no good cops. Marsh is now full on leading. We know every cop there is a part of New Age, and so the one good cop they sort of had on their side is now gone, and it's going to get even uglier for them on these last few episodes. Probably the best episode of the season so far, but it's good that a lot of these episodes had to sort of do the groundwork to get to this point. And you needed to have a moment where you actually had some of the tit for tats with Russo and Reacher to sort of care that he gave up his life and he was willing to do this, um, for him, and to prove that there was one, title of this episode, New York's Finest, one cop in New York that was actually on the up and up. Solid episode. What did you guys think about this episode? Probably hands down my favorite episode. You got to see some action, you got to see some drama, you got to lose an important character, like, and it carried the story along. I do hope we finally got a moment where we got to see Reacher and Langston at least sort of in vicinity of each other, but we still don't have any AM a piece of this. And I they are building AM up to be such a killer, but a lot of his killing comes off of sneak attacks, and I don't know if they're building him up to be enough of a one-on-one fight with Reacher. Like, I don't see anything that leads me to blow. Like, if that guy's in a room with Reacher one-on-one, that is going to go go well. So I need more from AM now to kind of build him up to be a worthy adversary to Reacher. But outside of that, chef's kiss. This episode was phenomenal. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts and comments in the comments below? If you haven't already, you can follow us on Twitter at HollywoodADI. You can hit us up on email at HollywoodAlreadyDidIt@gmail.com. We also have a podcast by the same name that's on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere that plays podcasts. We're there. And like always, I got my ticket. You got yours.